we have a special guest that joins us for a conversation, and that, of course, is songstress JoyRukanza. Hello, Joy, and welcome to Morning Rush.
Hey, good morning.
Fantastic. It's a pleasure having you, of course, on the platform.
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. To cut to the chase, in brief, tell us, who is JoyRukanza?
JoyRukanza is a musician, born and raised in Bulawayo, has lived in different parts of the world, very passionate about music, but not only music, academics as well. So with the work that I do, I constantly make sure that I give back to my community, mostly school-going children and in different communities in Bulawayo.
Interesting. That fusion there of the academic as well as the arts, quite a fusion in that particular regard. Now tell us, how did you get into music? What was the inspiration?
I started music when I was performing in my primary school choir. So I went to Robert Treadgold Primary School, and that's when I was introduced to music. And when I transitioned to high school at Sizane High School, I fell in love and decided to make it something that was one of my passions. I was the school choir captain for about 4 to 5 years, and that really inspired me to get into music. It helped me develop my voice at a young age, and I was able to tell what my vocal range is. And then after high school, I graduated and went to the United States to pursue my tertiary education. And while I was there, I tried to make sure that in my college, I would get exposed to chorale classes, chorale performances, because of the love that I have. And when the world shut down in 2020, I then decided to actually release my own projects and started working on my album.
Right, and of course you have since released 3 records since 2021.
Yes.
Please tell us more about that.
So I released my first record, New Day, featuring Kid X in 2021 in January. And I linked up with him. He's a South African hip-hop legend, and it was great to actually have him on my record. And the follow-up single was Roses, and then I followed up with Queendom in October 2021. I then took a long break between 2021 and 2023 because I was really prioritizing a couple of things that were happening in my personal life, work-related, relationships-related, and so on and so forth, to make sure that when I apply myself to the music, I'm giving the best self in the music, and so on and so forth. So after that, I waited, but while I was waiting, I was also preparing to give the world my debut album, Matter More For Sis, which has since come out on Friday, the 23rd of June. Metamorphosis.
Yes. Of course, launched on the 23rd, you said.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, you earlier on, you mentioned how it is that you, at some point, traveled, of course, overseas for your academic endeavors. And, of course, you were careful to see to it that you also further your musical interest as well as passion. Yeah. Can you tell us how's been that particular experience and what impact has that had in the pursuit of your musical career?
Going to different parts of the world has really exposed me to different cultures, different traditions. I get to see, like I've had the privilege of living in South Africa, Zimbabwe, the United Kingdom, as well as the United States, and living in those different countries. I get exposed to the music scene, to the cultures, to the traditions, and all that really informs the kind of sound that I have as JoyRukanza. It was really made me someone that is very much confident, and because like traveling and living in different parts of the world comes with its own set of challenges, I think I can definitely say that I'm a resilient person, and that's definitely something that really impacts the way that I approach music. I make sure that if there's something that I want to put out on a song, or if I want to get a particular opportunity in the music industry, I know if I apply myself, I confidently go after that. So I think the exposure to different parts of the world has really built like an iron spirit within me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And of course, getting back to your album, I'm looking at how it is presented, Metamorphosis.
Yes.
One would think that it's actually metamorphosis, perhaps within the context of the geographical sense. But what you actually have here is Matter More For Sis.
Yeah.
Okay, would you want to tell us more about that and the inspiration behind that?
So yeah, first of all, I'll definitely say that you're right in thinking about it in the scientific term.
Right.
I borrowed from like the scientific process of metamorphosis, which relates to the transition from one stage to the other. And we usually see it being illustrated in a butterfly. I think around the time when I came up with the project title, I was just going through a lot of transitions at work, personal relationships. So I was going through my own process of metamorphosis. And it's a word that I used to share a lot with a friend of mine. And then during one of our conversations, I realized, wait a minute, you can actually flip this and then make it a message as well.
Okay.
So first of all, it relates to the scientific process of metamorphosis because it details the story of one woman that transitions through different emotions in love. She starts from heartbreak, and then from song number 1 up until song number 13, it's one story of love. And she starts from a low point of heartbreak, and then the second song, she's detailing why her heart is broken. Third song, she's still mourning, but from the fourth song going onwards, she regains her power. And I have a song called Queendom in the middle of the album where she declares so much power and she decides to say, hey, I'm not going to cry anymore. I'm going to take back my power and really do the best that I can. And eventually she falls in love. So that's the story of metamorphosis. And to go to the title, how I decided to spell it, it was a message for myself as well. Like I did mention, around the time when I came up with the album, I was just going through a lot of personal issues, and it was a message to myself to metamorph for myself. So in this case, I'm saying metamorph for yourself, Joy. And it's also a message to other women out there to metamorph for themselves. So it's like I'm saying metamorph for yourself, sister. So that's basically the premise of the album.
Quite an inspirational story. Now let's talk about how this is actually a story of hope, and goes out, of course, to the women out there. What message do you have for the young ladies, the young girls that we've got in our societies and communities?
First of all, to the young girls, young women, the album message is simply that you should metamorph for yourself. I think it's very important to prioritize mental health. In as much as we may be able to accommodate other people in our day-to-day, we should also not neglect self-care, being kind to ourselves, because the world is very cruel and women face a lot of challenges in this world. So it's important to take a step back and sometimes be selfish and do things that will definitely make you happy. And of course, it's important to also apply ourselves and help out wherever we can. But I think as women constantly in our society, we're expected to put others first and do things that please others at the expense of our own happiness. So to women out there, I want to tell them that they matter and they deserve every opportunity. They deserve to be in each and every room that they want to be in. So that's the message out there. You can do it.
Metamorphosis, and of course I cannot help but ask, looking at the construction of that album title, I cannot help but ask what it is that you studied.
I actually studied in high school. I studied the arts. I was doing literature and English, Isindebele, geography and history, and then in college I studied international studies in the United States at a college called Bryn Mawr College. But at Bryn Mawr and most colleges in the United States, even if you study international studies, you're still exposed to certain courses that you're supposed to take mandatorily because they want you to have critical thinking skills and so on and so forth. But I guess what really inspired me to think of this album as a metaphor is that I've been a public speaker and debater for a very long time, since I was in high school. So I used to write a lot of public speaking speeches and stories using metaphors. Even my essays at school, they were centered around finding a different angle that you can approach a topic. So I think this kind of applied when I was thinking of the album.
Well, sounds like you wear a coat of many colors, a master of all trades and jack of none. What more can we expect from JoyRukanza?
You can expect more energy from JoyRukanza. The album is out. I have a video called Survive the Night, and people have been talking about it. People have been loving it. You can expect more videos. You can expect to see me performing, and you can expect to see me doing the very best that I can to take out the music and make sure that the world really gives it a listen.
Where can people access this music, and how can people connect with you?
Okay, so to access the music, people can definitely connect with me. I have a website. It's called JoyRukanza.com, and on social media platforms, and that is Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. My handle is @JoyRukanza, and on YouTube as well. If you look up @JoyRukanza, you'll be able to come up with my YouTube channel with all the music that I've done, all the videos, and all the different things that I like to get into.
Well, Joy, thank you for joining us on Morning Rush.
Thank you for having me.